Welcome to the Creator Within channel. My name is Khalid. And before I even get into how I got into the law of attraction and manifestation and my intentions for this channel moving forward, I just want to get into how I even started this channel or why I started this channel. It's definitely been on my mind to start this channel. I've definitely had a few nudges in the past, but I didn't take the necessary action to start it, obviously. But the things I'm going to talk about with y'all on this channel, this is how I talk to my brother and my close friend right to this day. Because once we got put onto the information, there's no going backwards. Because understanding like how you talk to yourself, how you think, is how you create your reality. Why would you go backwards? Why would you do yourself that disservice? And if you actually look online, the law of attraction community and the manifestation, and not as a bad thing, but you see a lot of people not from the culture I came from, and that doesn't mean we didn't have similar experiences. We probably all experienced poverty to a certain extent. We probably all experienced grief and loss, but I don't see too many people who come from like the projects or the hood like I come from, and people from my community. You have people like Neural Knowledge, but he's in the UK. But most people in the manifestation community is not people from the hood, and I don't blame them, because this stuff it kind of is looked upon as woo, especially in the hood. In the projects, you're used to God, the deity, going to church being your answer to everything. But when that's not working, I look at the other answers why those people stayed in those positions, trying to look for a different result. So I just basically want to be the voice and kind of the gateway to get certain people from my community, you know what I mean, just to get on to understanding the truth about life and not what we were told. So with that being said, that kind of leads me to how I got into law of attraction myself. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. You know what I mean? I know when I said my community before, you might be like, what community are you? You're light skinned, you know what I mean? But I'm black. You know what I mean? If I got pictures, I'll try to post them in this video, but my whole family is basically black. I'm basically just light skinned because my dad is light skinned to a certain extent. But my whole family is dark skinned, you know what I mean? And I realized growing up, especially black people in the black community, you go to the church a lot, you know? And there's nothing wrong with going to the church because once you start realizing that what people are learning and teaching, whether you know what it is exactly, is still going towards a higher power. You know what I mean? Everything is still connected into one at the end of the day. But it's just doing it with intent. You know what I mean? When you go to church, they kind of teach you like that the power is outside of you and you have a deity outside of yourself hovering your situation, basically watching you go through it. While people who you know who aren't as righteous or living as good as you are getting the life that they want. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I feel like religion, how we were taught it, kind of teaches you to prepare for either the afterlife or the heaven outside of earth, um, or it just teaches you just to like go through life now. You know what I mean? Like this phase of life doesn't mean anything. Get prepared for the afterlife. Yeah, you still want to do good deeds here on this plane. So when you get there, it's an easier transition to get in. But you're not really creating on this plane. You're just kind of here just surviving until you get to that next level, as they teach it to us. So growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I grew up in the projects. Then I moved to Maryland when I was about 8 or 9 years old, in the hood, things of that nature. And at a young age, I was sort of conscious. You know, what I mean, my spirituality changed in different ways as I got older. But I was always kind of somewhat. I was kind of aware of like poverty and kind of being poor. The only reason why it didn't affect me when I was younger is because most of the people I was around was also poor. So I came in contact with people who had money, but then when I'm spending the majority of my day in the projects around my friends who barely got anything like me, I'm not really thinking or stressing like that because it's normalized once everybody in your environment reflects the same thing, you know? So it wasn't until I would say 2020, and I feel like a lot of people came into that during 2020 because you had more time to like do research and one time to sit with yourself and be still to understand like what really is it, you know what I mean? And I always been a person who questioned things, you know what I mean? In like the church, they teach you not to question God, but I'm like, nah, I'm questioning stuff because like I said, once you start seeing just the patterns of people who you know isn't living as righteous as you or as clean, living their dream life, living their best life, you start to wonder like, nah, there's something else to this game that I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's best to like find out and be uncomfortable, understand that the truth you thought was the truth really is the truth how you see it. I'd rather be uncomfortable to know the truth than be stuck in the same position my whole life and not enjoy myself. You know what I mean? Not create the life I really want to live. Just basically live on default and let basically my consciousness in life dictate things for me. So when I got into it, my mind obviously, like I said, I've always been aware of like working and poverty, but spirituality diving into the law of manifestation and just like how the world's a reflection of you, I didn't get that part. So 2021, I started reading obviously the book The Secret, and then you start learning a little bit more deeper just about consciousness, about the feeling and all that stuff, and then you go into the Kabbalion, learning that the world is mental. Uh, Even the Joe Dispenza book, Becoming Supernatural, that book is great too. For just learning who you are, you know what I mean. And that was the jump start. After I learned that, I was moving forward. Now, from that standpoint, I didn't start seeing my dream reality. I didn't start seeing anything because I still was stuck. I still had old things that I had to tweak that would stop me from experiencing the life I want to live. And just me, the past 3, 4, 5 years, you know what I mean, sacrificing, but unintentionally, relationships, friendships, and just not putting myself in a person who has what I want. You know what I mean? Constantly chasing it or searching it. And if you know, especially being from New York, you naturally are part of the hustle culture. You always feel like you got to do something. Being from New York and then being a man, because being a man, you naturally ambitious. You want to work. You kind of get a feeling of excellence from doing work. And then being from New York, it's a fast pace. Like, I got to do more, got to do more. And I just kept realizing the more I'm doing, I'm getting nowhere. I actually kept losing. And it actually says that in the Bible. You know what I mean? For those who have, more will be given. For those who don't have, even what you do have will be taken away from you. And I was on the latter side. You know what I mean? I thought being a good person was all you needed and having a right mindset on things, but that's not. It's just not that simple. You know what I mean? It's simple, but not that simple. Just from being a good person and just thinking about what you want. You know, because we all want something, but there's a reason why only a few amount of people will experience what they want and actually obtain it. So just moving forward, with this channel, like I said, I just want to be a bridge. You know what I mean? I want to help people. And me, naturally, I'm a giver. I'm not looking for anything. You know what I mean? Whether I get paid on this channel or I don't care. My thing is just knowledge. And if you ask my friends who I conversate with on a regular basis about the same stuff, I'm not getting paid to talk to them. But I just like conversating about the truth. I like helping each other. You know what I mean? Hearing my friends' stories, him hearing my stories, us bouncing ideas off each other, us seeing what we went wrong, us seeing what we can improve at. But that's what it's all about. Because once you realize that you're connected to God, you are God to a certain extent. You're not the creator, but you are a creator, which means you're a smaller version of the all-knowing intelligence. As Nero like to put it, you're not the whole ocean, but you're a bottle of water from the ocean, which means you're not the same size as proportion of the ocean, but you hold the same minerals and properties that ocean hold. We're not as big and as grand as the creator is, but we have the same power that creator used to create the reality that we live in. Sorry, I talk kind of fast, especially when I get excited. Like I said, I'm from New York, so I'm a little fast. But like I said, once you start learning that, and then you just start applying the knowledge. You know what I mean? That's another thing, applying the knowledge. You have to apply it. You have to learn it, but you can't be scared to apply it. And like when you're learning something new, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel pretty weird, especially learning how the mind is the real world. You know what I mean? It seems kind of logical because once you take into account that everything you see in the physical world once started in somebody's mind. You know what I mean? The chair that I'm sitting in wasn't like a chair appeared and then it was like, oh, let's call that a chair. No, somebody thought about making a chair and then this chair appeared. And if you just go back to the Bible, and that's kind of how God created the world. He said, let there be light. And then there was light. And we call that as an affirmation. You speak something into existence like it already happened. You know what I mean? So my goal is move forward, like I said, just to help people, you know what I mean, and just spread the message, get people to understand the game better, because I want everybody to be living their dream life. You know what I mean? It doesn't do me no disservice for you to live your life, because there's enough for everybody. I'm gonna have what I want because it's already for me, and I want you to have what you want because it's for you. And we just get taught to just deal with things. We get taught to wait for the afterlife to experience heaven and actually experience life. But once you realize that there's different states that you could channel right here on Earth, then you can't look back. So I look forward to posting, you know what I mean, just getting discussions, just topics about how you can create your reality with intention, you know what I mean, instead of just going through the motions. Because that's the biggest thing too. We all manifest. We always been manifesting. But now it's about doing it with intention. Now it's about manifesting the things you do want. You know what I mean? And just understanding the underlying things that go along with you manifesting the things you do want. So like I said, I look forward to just posting videos whenever things come to mind, more than likely daily, because like I said, I'm always just thinking. I'm a thinker. I always like conversating about the knowledge that I learn. So like I said, if you don't get anything from this channel, you're gonna get value and you're gonna get authenticity. And I hope y'all enjoy the content that I'm gonna do. But I already know it's already done. I already know what's for me is for me. I already know that the value that I'm gonna give is gonna serve y'all.